So the migrant crisis has resulted in something like $150 billion of spending by the federal government. Included in this is about $650 million from FEMA, which is the federal agency that deals with natural disasters like hurricanes and earthquakes. And there was a lot of controversy over the last little while when hurricanes hit the southern part of the United States, with people complaining that, FEMA didn't have enough money for those to help Americans and people who live here, but yet was spending so much on migrants. So first of all, that comes from two separate pots of money, even though it is within FEMA. But what we've seen with the latest statistics is that, yes, the federal government has spent a ton of money, but it's mostly the smaller communities, the states and the municipalities and the towns and the villages that have been shouldering most of the costs for migrants. And just to add, according to FAIR, which is a nonprofit in Washington, D.C., that studies immigration, according to their numbers, they found that most of the spending was coming from smaller communities, and they estimate that there are now 15.5 million migrants, that is, people without legal status in the United States right now. And there were some crazy examples that I found. For instance, the mayor of South Portland, Maine, was telling elderly residents who were very upset about property taxes rising that they should just take out a second mortgage. This at a time when the local government had put suddenly $1.9 billion in its budget to deal with the migrant crisis that had hit the city of about 27,000 people. So they had about 1,000 migrants come into the city, and they were completely overwhelmed. Again, a small town. So the mayor later recanted what he said and apologized, but it was not a very inspiring thing to say for the local residents. Also, we're looking at Denver, which has seen a huge influx of migrants. Now, that's a city of about 751,000 people, and they got an influx of 42,000 people. Those numbers have since gone down, but the city has had to reassess their spending and is considering cutting emergency services like police and money to the fire department in order to come up with about $90 million that they need to help migrants, not only with housing and food, but also with education, with job training, and things like that. So this whole crisis since about 2021, where an unprecedented number of migrants have sort of surged into the United States, has been a real burden on the smaller communities.
For more stories like these, be sure to subscribe to the New York Post right here on YouTube.